started. This is so fun. I am so incredibly excited to have a special guest today. Dear friend of mine that I've known her for, gosh, probably close to 15 years now when we first got connected. And so I am truly honored to have on the Liberation Lounge today, dear friend Anisha Bailey, who is an entrepreneur. She has literally done so much in her career, and I'm not going to steal her thunder, but she really has a passion in helping entrepreneurs not only get their business, what I would like to call CEO ready, right? Because anybody can start a business. That's not hard. It's called file your paperwork with the Secretary of State. It's another thing to get in business. It's another thing to learn how to sustain your business, how to grow your business, right? And so she's going to talk a little bit more about that. And she has a lot of background in assisting entrepreneurs also when it comes to IRS issues, tax issues that they've had in the past. And so she can assist in that as well. But without further ado, welcome to the virtual studio, Anisha Bailey. Anisha, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. It is such a pleasure to have you with us today. And so I want to thank all of our listeners who've been tuning in every single week. I have been anticipating having Anisha on the show because I have seen her career progression. And so I'm going to let her first just talk a little bit about kind of what has brought her to where she is today. So maybe you can just first tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's always great to see you, as always. Just a little bit about me. I'm from Cincinnati. I'm married. I live in the Lebanon area now, but I have two kids. They're grown, so 25 and 21. And I've been in business for over 16 years. Most of my career, I've been a tax professional. So I've been primarily representing individuals and entrepreneurs who have IRS and state tax problems. But now my husband and I, we just launched a new business where we sell dairy-free gelato. And so we can get more into that a bit later, but a lot of that has come from just us being able to tap into our purpose, something that we'll talk about today, and kind of tapping into um, the ability and the our willingness to just kind of explore deeper into our own desires and things like that. I went to school and I have a bachelor's in marketing and accounting. I double majored in marketing and accounting, and I have a master's in executive leadership, and I'm also an enrolled agent. So for those of you all who don't know what an enrolled agent is, a lot of times when people think about tax and tax help, they think of CPA or attorney. And the reality is that those designations do not mean you specialize in tax law. So anyone who has an enrolled agent designation, they have the only licensure that means you specialize in tax. And it also means that you can represent people who have IRS and state tax problems. And so that's where I niched when I got my enrolled agent license back in 2012. And I started in this industry back in 2008.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, for all of you listening in, she is more than qualified to have this conversation today, okay? Because she's been doing this work for a really, really long time and really has devoted, honestly, her life to supporting entrepreneurs and individuals in this capacity. So, I'm super excited to have you. So, just kind of dig right in. You know, this is about real talk with real women, right? So we don't hold anything back here in the Liberation Lounge. So let's just first talk a little bit about purpose. And you mentioned this a little bit, right? So how are you defining purpose at this stage of your life and of your and in your career? Because you have begun to embark on some new projects as well. And so what does purpose in this stage of your life really mean to you?
So my son put me on to Earl Nightingale, and he was
Hmm.
defining success. And he says that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Yep.
So he told me that. I think that that helped me to redefine how to pursue purpose or what that looks like. And I
Hmm.
think now that I have had the experiences that I've had, things like that, I'm able to tap into my purpose by making sure that what I feel like I'm doing is worthy, is a worthy ideal, is going to
Hmm.
empower people. And I think when you are looking into your purpose, I think it has two elements to it, is nourishment and impact. And I think that nourishment is that the thing that you're supposed to do nourishes you and nourishes others. but it also
Yes.
impacts other people, even if you don't see it.
Yep.
So I think that that's how you know when you're living your purpose. And I think that the things that that I am pursuing and have pursued has allowed me to tap into my purpose and see like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to do it. Yeah, I think a lot of times we do things because we think that people are like, you should do this way. Or if you look on
Yeah.
TV or social media, it's kind of like, you should be doing this because this is fun or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, that's not necessarily your thing. And that's not the seed that you necessarily have been given that you need to water.
That is so well said. So well said, because it's true, right? And we've talked about that on several past episodes on people have got to get away from the people pleasing, right? We've got to
Mhm.
get really laser focused on the gifts and the talents and the calling that is inside of each of us. And I love how you described it. And anybody watching live or on replay, I want you to catch the two words that she said, which was nourishment and impact. And it has to not just nourish your customers or your audience, it also has to nourish you, right? And I can just say for myself, when I began to make my transition into this new phase of my life, do this show just as much for my audience as I do it for me, right?
Mhm.
This nourishes my soul. People are like, I'm like, because it nourishes my soul,
Mhm.
right? I mean, like it's fun and it nourishes me. It gives me joy, right? And so I think that's so key, right? That's so key. And then of course you want to be able to have impact,
Mhm.
right, on the people that you are looking to do business with or you know share information with. So I absolutely love that. So let's talk about that because you have you're pivoting a little bit, right, in your business. You're looking for you're developing new ways to kind of nourish differently, have different impact, right? So maybe you can tell our audience a little bit more about some of the pivots that you are getting ready to implement.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I have specialized in tax law for all these years, and I really was in a reactive business, right? So when our clients have IRS and state tax problems, it's because some things had not been handled more maybe proactively, or maybe they were trying to handle it proactively, but then they were with a professional who didn't do what they needed to do, or whatever the case may be. It's just
Mhm.
things just happen. And so, what I've learned in fixing tax problems, so our clients will have anywhere from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in back tax issues, years that hadn't been filed, all of these things that by the time they're on my phone is a very emotional conversation. It's really
Mhm.
sad. And it's kind of like, okay, it's okay, let's get it fixed. But then, even when we get it fixed, do you have the tools? Do you know what to do so that going forward you're okay? And if I just stop with you at that point, then I don't, then what's it's going to happen again? And sometimes it happens again, right? And so, one of the things that I wanted to do was be on a more proactive end. And so we're rolling out a program called the Sensible CEO. And that's more proactive. It's helping entrepreneurs, startups, and course correcting entrepreneurs who are like, hey, I want to do this business thing right. Because one of the things I tell people is, hey, second to parenting, entrepreneurship will be the hardest thing you volunteer to do. And
Mhm.
so I want to make sure that people go into this successfully and go through and understand the foundation that they need to set for their businesses. And so that's what our Sensible CEO program does. And that's how we kind of pivot that, okay, instead of just being reactive, we're going to do some things on a proactive end. And if you need tax resolution and as a part of that, we can help
Mhm.
you with that, but that's not where we're going to just live. Right. And then another thing is when we're doing another thing we wanted to tap into is my husband is the chef in the house. I don't cook. I'm happy to not cook. I'm proud. I'm a proud non-kitchen dweller, cooker
I
person,
love
whatever.
it.
But I love to eat. I love to be the taste tester, all of
Mhm.
that. So we and so with that, it was a situation where my husband was able to tap into what he enjoys and his purpose and how he likes to nourish people and make an impact through his culinary expressions. And so when we were able to link our expertise together and create Sorbilee, which is our dairy-free gelato company, and that's Sorbaile. So
Mhm.
Sorbilee, we are now able to, tap into our purpose that way and together. And so
Mhm.
now, we have a way to where we, are able to do all the things that that we love in a way that, makes the impact that we want to make.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And, like you said, it's another way for you to nourish, right? So he's nourishing his soul, and you're able to tap in to the skills and the talents that you both have, right? You on kind of the back end, the business side, make sure everything is set up properly, executed properly from a business and strategy standpoint, and him being able to tap into his gifts and talents from a culinary standpoint. That's huge. And this is a
Mhm.
great tip for everybody. You don't have to be the end all be all of everything in your business, right?
Mhm.
And so sometimes that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make is they try and do it all. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do the execution. I'm gonna do the strategy. I'm gonna do my own taxes. I'm gonna do it's like the marketing. I'm gonna do the sales. And it's like number one, that burns you out, right? And number two, that's not your gifting, right? That's not your gifting. And so it's important that we get clear on what our gifting actually is. Go back to something that you said because I thought this was really key. And I didn't know this, did not know this, y'all, that because I have a CPA, right? But I didn't know that it's important that you have an enrolled agent. I don't know if he's an enrolled agent. It's a really good question to find out, right? And so I think that was just new news for me. I didn't even realize that, right? And so I learned something today. I hope everybody else did too,
And
right?
some CPAs and attorneys specialize in tax, but their
Yeah,
licensure just doesn't mean that.
got it, got it. See, so that's really important information, y'all, for all of us to understand as we are building our businesses. So that's really good. So let's talk a little bit about alignment. Okay. Alignment and how living in alignment and like with your gifts and with your talents has been so instrumental in your success. Because I mean, remember you when you kind of, you were still at Deloitte when we first met. It was a long time ago. And so, how able to tap into what you knew, what you said, the seed, right, that you were meant to water. How are you able to identify that and get in alignment with that to be able to create the success that you have been able to have?
I would say that I'm a really big do-it-yourselfer because I
Mhm,
think I've had a lot of people tell me what I can't do, and
mhm.
people tell me, try to limit me based on their own limitations for themselves. And
Yep.
I know from a young age, I've been defiant, right? And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
I can get that done. And so I
Yeah.
think that mentality allows me to be able to say, okay, um you, you couldn't get help with this or you couldn't do that, and to be able to now take that into um building those muscles and those skills that I needed to be able to do things that people may have counted me out for on certain situations. And so being able to just be in alignment with understanding, hey, it's okay. You have these certain skill sets. You're able to water the seeds of the DIY-ish in you, right? The
Yeah. Yeah.
DIY-ness in you, and then be able to take that into go into helping other people who can't help themselves,
Yeah.
being able to push myself further than I would have been had I just relied on other people to do things for me. And then being
Yeah.
able to show other people how they can be empowered to do the same thing, because
Yeah.
someone else is going to be telling that other person that they can't do it. But then if someone is there to tell them, hey, it's okay, you can do it. This is how you do it. I think that's me. That's my whole essence, like, hey, do what you need to do. You need some
Yeah.
help, you need some encouragement. I think we can all become more successful within our own purpose in our own lives if we have
Mhm.
people who can encourage us and people who can show us, hey, you know what? They've overcome some hurdles. They've overcome some hurdles. So
Yeah.
maybe maybe I can overcome some hurdles as well. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. And being able to have those people around us to encourage us on that journey is huge. So
Mhm.
how did you make that leap? And I know this is kind of, Doug, I'm going down this path because I think this is important, is when you decided to start your own business, obviously there was going to be a level of liberation that was going to come from that. How did you have the courage, the strength, um, the tenacity, right, to go out on your own, and what has that meant for you?
So I was 27. I had
Mhm.
two kids. My kids were 8 and 5. I had no family support system or anything like that. And I was at Deloitte. And so I had 2,500 on a credit card and 1 month of rent in the bank. And
Mhm.
I just felt like I could do what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And I really also understood a few things. I understood how to make certain systems work for me based on my situation, and I also understood that God always had my back. And
Yeah.
so that has always been a part of my life and I knew that because of all the challenges. So I just felt like that was not gonna the financial piece, the no family support piece, all of that was not going to deter me from
Yeah.
being able to do the bigger thing that I thought was important. And that bigger thing that I thought was important was to be able to show my children that they also could start a business or had an opportunity to think outside the box and do some things that, regardless of what society says, because I'm in a situation where society tells me you're going to be a young mom. You're going to be on government assistance all your life. You're
Yeah.
going to do, you're going to be less than who I wanted to be. And
Yeah.
so I think just having to decide within myself that I was worth more than what anyone else wanted to tell me I was worth. I think those were driving factors for me. Um, I grew up in a family where I grew up in a family of people who really didn't like themselves, and that translated to how they
Yeah.
treated me. And
Yeah.
so then, you have to be able to rise above that, even in the most challenging times. And so I say that to say I left corporate America back in 2008, the summer of 2008. So y'all know it was the recession, all these things going
Yeah.
on. And it was just me and the kids, and I haven't had a problem since.
Mm.
I haven't had a financial problem. My husband and I got married like 3 years later, but I met him because I was in my element. I met him
Yes.
because I decided to step out of corporate America and I had to go network because I wasn't even networking before
Yeah.
I left corporate America. So being in a position to decide to align with my purpose put me in a position to even meet my husband in the first place.
Oh, ladies, please. I hope you heard that. I hope you heard it. Okay. That is so key. Sometimes I think we get frustrated in life when maybe things aren't happening or not meeting the right people, or the right type of, we're not in a position to experience the right type of relationship. And a lot of times it's because we are out of alignment,
Mhm.
y'all. We are out of alignment. And I can speak to that, oh my gosh, with so much confidence, because as soon as I began to make the decisions that were in alignment with April's highest good, not only did I meet the guy, right? But I was able to get connected to people that opened up more doors, right? People began to recognize the skills and the talents and were willing to pay for it. I gave a lot away for free for 15 years, a lot. And I
Mhm.
was like, mm-mm, no
Mhm.
more. I got to monetize this. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And so I think that's so powerful what you said. And obviously the fact that your faith, right? You knew, you know what? God's got my back. I'm going to step out on faith. I'm going to move into alignment. And I hope this is blessing y'all. If this is blessing y'all, I want you to put that in the comments right now on Facebook if this is blessing you, because I can tell you it's blessing my soul tremendously. So I so appreciate that. So Anisha, as we wrap up, can you let our listeners know how they can get in touch with you about the Sensible CEO program that you're going to be rolling out? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I would say right now, just give me a phone call. My phone number is 513-982-2800. And then we could talk through that. Also, you can DM me on or inbox me. I don't know these words.
Right.
Inbox me, DM me, whatever the case is on
Yeah.
social media, and that would be a good way to get started, just so we can have a conversation to make sure it's even a good fit. If you're
Yeah.
interested in having the dairy-free gelato for an event, go to sorbailey.com and check out our flavors and go from there too.
Yes. And I have taste tested. Okay. And it is absolutely phenomenal. And flavors that like you can't find at the grocery store, y'all. This is like totally, totally different sorbet. It's really, really excellent. So yeah, you do want to host an event with them, you can get in touch with Anisha as well. Well, this has been so fabulous. I am so excited for the work that you have been doing, the continuous impact that you are having, and just such an encouraging message, because I know that there's a single mom right now who knows that she's in a dead end career or she's in a dead end business, and she needs that encouragement to say, you know what, I really want to lean into my calling. And I just want everybody to know Anisha is one example of many who have taken that step, that leap of faith, and grew wings on the way down, right? And so I really do appreciate you sharing the authenticity of the backstory, because oftentimes people see us in our revelation and they didn't see us in our genesis. They
Mm.
don't know where we came from. They don't understand the hard decisions that we had to make, right? But with that has come a tremendous fruit from those decisions. So I'm
Can I
really,
say
really
something real
excited.
quick?
Yes, please.
I would also say that it's also very important to be accountable, and no one can hold
Yes.
you accountable, because accountability is about ownership, and it's about owning the reasons you've done the things you've done, the owning, the traumas that you're holding on to that might be affecting what you can do and can't do, all of these things. And it's like, you have to take ownership so that you can move in the way you need to move and get those things out the way or bring on new things. And so we have to really look in the mirror and say, am I stopping myself versus,
Yes.
is someone else stopping me? Because we have freedom is within our control, for the most part. And freedom is an internal thing. And
Yeah.
when you talk about liberation, I kind of think about it from that perspective as well.
That's so good, because it is about having that internal freedom. I like to call it emotional freedom, right? When we're emotionally free, that's where the financial freedom comes. But it's real tough to get financial freedom if you don't have that emotional freedom right inside. And so I totally, totally can appreciate that. Well, thank you so, so much, Anisha. It has been an awesome conversation today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this
Thank
conversation, please let us know in the comments. We look forward to seeing y'all next week for episode 6 of April Joy's Liberation Lounge, for another empowering and inspiring conversation with another phenomenal woman. We are going to have real talk with real women here at the Liberation Lounge. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye for now, and we'll see you soon.